An NBA insider just dropped a bombshell. They revealed that before the Knicks made that blockbuster trade to land Karl-Anthony Towns, they made multiple attempts to try to trade for Walker Kessler. But unfortunately, they couldn't get a deal done. And because of that, they pivoted and made the Towns trade instead. We're going to break down exactly why the Knicks couldn't land Walker Kessler, what the Utah Jazz asking price was, and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks targeted Walker Kessler in a trade before they made that move for Karl-Anthony Towns. If you've watched this channel, before Towns was traded for weeks, I was advocating for the Knicks to trade for Walker Kessler. There was a number of reasons for it, but number one, it was his contract. Two, it was his age. And three, it was going to be his development under a defensive-minded coach like Tom Thibodeau. I think with all of those factors, he would have thrived in New York. And it seems with Leon Rose in this Knicks front office, they had the exact same thoughts as well, too. Because according to NBA insider Marc Stein, he revealed that before the Knicks traded for Cat, they attempted to trade for Walker Kessler. And not just one time, they attempted to do this multiple times before eventually making that move for Karl-Anthony Towns. Shout out to NBA Central on the app X for giving us the following information. According to them, the Utah Jazz reportedly wanted 2 first-round picks for Walker Kessler, per the Stein line. This is according to NBA insider Marc Stein exactly. Shout out to NBA insider Marc Stein for giving us the following updates about the Knicks and their trade plans. It's not surprising to me that Danny Ainge would want 2 future first-round picks for Walker Kessler. And you know the funny part is, I'm sure the Knicks gave them 2 future first-round picks, just not the picks that they wanted. They probably offered them the Washington pick and the Detroit picks that we have. But the problem for Utah is, number one, those are not Knicks picks. And number two, those picks are heavily protected. So why would Danny Ainge want those picks in exchange for a player like Walker Kessler, a player that he knows a lot of teams around the league really want and covet? And maybe he could get a better offer for Kessler if he waits and Kessler does a really good job during the regular season. But that's a gamble. It's a risk. What if that doesn't happen? What if it goes the opposite direction and Kessler doesn't do what he needs to do and his value drops? Then maybe this offer that was on the table from the Knicks was going to be the best offer that Utah was ever going to receive for Walker Kessler. And now they'll never, ever have access to it again because they waited instead of jumping at the opportunity. But I'm happy that the Knicks made the offer and made the attempt to go after Kessler, because at least it tells me that Leon Rose knew what this team needed and he went after it. He did everything in his power to try to trade for Walker Kessler. But unfortunately, Danny Ainge would not play fair. He asked for 2 future first-round picks to a team that traded almost all of their first-round picks to land Mikal Bridges. Why would we make another trade even more future first-round picks for a player like Walker Kessler? All due respect to Kessler, you know how I feel about it if you watch this channel. And you know I wanted him on this team to develop under Tom Thibodeau because I think that would have been a very good match. But I am not going to give up so many assets in order to get Kessler on this team. I wanted him, but I didn't want him that desperately. And I'm thankful that Leon Rose and this Knicks front office didn't want that either. They pivoted and they looked at Karl-Anthony Towns, an all-star, and they said, I can get him for Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and 1 protected future first-round pick from Detroit. I'm going to do that instead. And as we saw, even though it's early and only 1 preseason game, we saw the sparks. We saw how special it can be. We saw the pick and roll. We saw the pick and pop between our all-stars in Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. And even though it's not perfect yet, and they still have to work on the chemistry, give them a couple of games. Give them 5 games, 10 games. Once they get that chemistry down and they understand where they need to be, where each other likes to catch the ball, they are going to be one of the hardest duos to stop in the league. I don't know how you stop a player like Towns at that size who can shoot like that and play inside like that And then Jalen Brunson, his penetration game, the way he can penetrate and create, especially with a player like Towns now, it sounds unstoppable. And once it works, I can't see a team in the league that's going to be able to stop those two once it gets going, because those two have the ability to go off on any given night. Towns can give you 30. Jalen can give you 30. One of them can go off for 50. The other one can go off for 50. That's the players that we have on this team. And the roster surrounding them is some of the best defense I've ever seen before. Two of the best perimeter defenders in the league in OG and Mikal. This is the roster surrounding these two. And then you have the everyman, the guy that will do it all on the floor for you in Josh Hart, the perfect complement to the starting unit. I didn't like the Cat trade at first, and I still feel a type of way about it. But knowing what I know now, knowing everything that Leon Rose attempted to do before actually trading for Karl-Anthony Towns, I don't hate the trade anymore. I don't feel any negativity toward this move anymore. If anything, I'm embracing it even more because now I know the president of basketball operations, our leader in Leon Rose, did everything he could to try to land this guy, and we couldn't do it. So I'm good with that. I've made peace with it. I'm happy Cat is a Knick. I'm happy he's on this team, and I'm so happy to watch the pick and roll that we're going to see each and every night between Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. And going back to this report, I wanted to mention that Marc Stein stated that Utah wanted at least 2 future first-round picks for Kessler. At least 2. That means if the Knicks maybe gave them 2 and it wasn't the right 2 picks for Ainge, he might have asked for 3. He might have asked for more. He might have asked for picks and players and maybe second-round picks. We know with Ainge, even though the first offer sounds right, after you make it, maybe he alters it. Maybe he asks for a little bit more. Maybe he changes the deal. That's the problem with Ainge. You never know what to expect. And that's why Leon Rose, at the end of the day, said, I'm not going to deal with him. I'm going to go another direction, and I'm going to go in a direction that lands me a player that I know wants to be in New York, is at a fair price, and if I get him, I can keep him for a couple of years, and hopefully, with the core that I have, make a run for a championship. You cannot blame Leon Rose for looking in the other direction here. You can't deal with Ainge. He never wants to make a fair deal. If he's making a deal with you, he wants to fleece your team. He wants to get everything and anything possible in order for him to give up a player that he knows that you want. And that's why a lot of people, a lot of teams don't do business with him. Leon did his best. He tried, but the price was just too high. I don't blame him for walking away. I might have done the same thing as well, too, because even though Walker Kessler is a good prospect, I would love him on this team. He would thrive. You have to know value and cost around this league. The only reason we're as good of a team as we are right now is because Leon Rose has made us that way. If it was not for him, we would not be in the position we are right now. If he didn't want to make that move, I trust it. If moving Julius Randle was the best course of action in this deal, I'm all in with Leon Rose. He has never led us in a bad direction. Each and every move he makes is for the betterment of this team, whether we see it right away or not. I didn't see it right away with the Karl-Anthony Towns trade, but little by little, as we start to find out more information about this deal and why he made this deal, it starts to be easier to understand and appreciate, especially when we learn he just tried to trade for Walker Kessler, but he couldn't get that deal done. And then he pivoted and did the next best thing he could. And what was that? Getting Karl-Anthony Towns on this team. I trust in Leon Rose. I trust in his decisions. He is not done yet. He is going to continue making moves. And once he gets us another starting center on this team to pair with Karl-Anthony Towns, that's when our team will be set. And you're really going to see what this team can do, because that's the last move Leon Rose needs to make. But what about you guys? What do you think about these latest reports coming out indicating that before the Knicks made that blockbuster trade to land Karl-Anthony Towns, they made multiple runs to try to trade for Walker Kessler? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.